More points dropped for Boro as they drew 2-2 away to Bristol City, with results going for us in a way, but against us in another.
As the Uruguayan curls one in. Oh, Middlesbrough take the lead!
So, Boro went to Ashton Gate at the weekend on Easter Monday. A ground that I mentioned in the last episode is one where Boro do not have the greatest record. And it's a tough result to kind of wrap your head around. I feel like depending on how the game went, depends on the sort of way you look back at this game. And I think due to the game itself, it's a good point for Boro. But there are certainly elements of this game which were a concern, and the biggest concern was the first half performance, where Boro, which is becoming a slight trend, started slowly, and, Bristol City were well on the front foot early doors, and let's give credit to the Robins. They've been on a fantastic roll of late. They beat Stoke last week, and of course Stoke have been one of the most informed teams in the whole division, and have a great record at home of late. So we were always going to come under a barrage of attacks early doors, and I don't know how it stayed 0-0 up until the 45th minute. Both teams had huge chances. Bristol City had 2, Boro had 1. The first was a Bristol City chance. Can't remember off the top of my head whose chance it was, but a well-worked move by Bristol City led to Darragh Lenihan pretty much blocking a shot and saving it with his chest. It was goal bound, Stefan couldn't get near it, and it was pretty much a clearance off the line by Darragh Lenihan. Anywhere else, either side, that goes in. Boro had a huge chance though, and it fell to the main man, Chuba Akpom. A great move down the left-hand side, great ball in behind by Ramsey to Giles, who played a beautiful ball over the top. And Chuba Akpom, the man you would put your mortgage on, not just hitting the target here, but scoring, put the header wide, a ginormous chance. And then Bristol City had another really, really big chance. A good move by them once again. Boro's defence not looking particularly strong once again as they bombed forward, and Zach Steffen made an absolutely wonderful save after Hayden Hackney, I think it was, got caught in possession in the midfield. So Bristol City had, I'd say, the better of the first half. Boro were a little bit one-dimensional. We continually played the ball down the left to Ryan Giles. Bristol City were sort of defending very narrowly in the middle of the park, which opened up so much space for our fullbacks. And, Tommy Smith got an assist later on in the game. Ryan Giles must have put 4 or 5 really good crosses into the box, which we just couldn't quite get on the end of. The only one we did, which of course was Akpom, who missed the chance. So it was a case of Boro trying to get down the left, Bristol City really putting us under pressure, and it told at the very, very end of the first half, and it was a really poor goal to concede by Boro. Just, again, it reminded me of the first goal against Huddersfield. A ball up in the air, it's messy, no one's taking ownership, no one's really dealing with it, it ricochets off one leg, bounces off another. You could argue there's a degree of bad luck in how it kind of pinballs around, but there's plenty of opportunities here where I feel a Boro defender has to deal with that. And eventually there's like a 2-on-1, it's played across to, I think it's Adam Bell, that might be who it was, who, finished pretty well, beneath Zach Steffen, who I think was fantastic in the early goings of this game. Once again, great. It was Sam Bell who scored for Bristol City. Great performance again by Steffen, made some really big saves, but could do nothing about this. And it was the worst time for Boro to concede. But recently, Boro have had this really bad habit of capitulating, and it's not actually recently. It's crept up a couple of times over the last few months where we have this spell where we will concede multiple goals in a matter of minutes. We had it against Cardiff earlier in the season at home, Huddersfield recently, I think Burnley away, something similar. And you kind of think, right, half-time has come at a good time, so let's just hope that, we don't concede multiple goals and we can kind of keep it tight. Half-time's come, we can regroup, but straight after the half-time break, Bristol City doubled their lead. And once again, a really poor goal to concede. It was Ryan Giles who the ball over the top, didn't deal with it, tried to take a touch, should have just put it into Rosette. One of his only few weaknesses, or I guess his only major weaknesses, is defending. And Ryan Giles, with losing the ball there, led to a Bristol City attack. There was a shot, which again Stefan did well to save, but then, the rebound, I don't know if it was Mehmeti who crossed it, but Harry Connick had a tap in and he was onside. And 50 minutes gone, Boro were really staring down the barrel here, and I was really concerned that we were looking at another another real capitulation where we could, and I honestly thought we might let in a third, a fourth. This could get really, really ugly, and we turned it around. Credit to Boro. We saw that really tough period through. We weathered the storm and we got back into it, and we got a grip of the game once again and showed, I think, real character to get level. And it started off with a grip move, and this time it was down the right hand side, come to Tommy Smith. He put a delicious ball in this time, and one of the smallest players on the park, Aaron Ramsey, with a great header. Maybe he should have taught Chuba how to head in the first half, but he dispatched his header really, really well. And then 6 minutes later, Matt Crooks got himself on the score sheet to make it 2-2. Another brilliantly worked goal. Tight one-touch football in and around the edge of the box. Akpom into Ramsey, little nudge and a layoff to Crooks, who finished brilliantly. And although Crooks hasn't started since our away defeat to Sunderland, a lot of people who were just writing him off before he even kicked a ball. This guy hasn't started in months, but when he does, come on, he's scored loads of goals off the bench. You can always guarantee Matt Crooks will have an influence. And, it was a fantastic finish by the big man to level it at 2-2. And then it was a bit of an up and down, basketball match after that. Boro, as we can see by the momentum here, had another really strong period up until the 70th minute, where I honestly thought we looked like we might get a third and go on to win the game. But Bristol City, fair play to them, come back into it. And then both sides sort of had good chances towards the end of the game. I think it might have been Zach Viner who had an absolute sitter missed at the very end to make it 3-2 to Bristol City. I think it was in added on time. It might have been just when it went 90 minutes, but a free kick come to him and he sort of went to chest it and knee it, and it's somehow cleared the bar, which was a real heart and mouth moment for us. But then at the other end, a great ball through by Akpom, who turned his defender, powered and driven his way through, played a great ball. It was just incredible play by Akpom. Played through to Archer, who went round the keeper, finished so well into the roof of the net, but he was offside, and it was the right decision. So I think it was a good point all in all, in isolation, when you look at the 90 minutes as a whole, just because, half an hour to go, we really did look like we were going to get a right hammering, and it could have got ugly, but it didn't. And we come back, got a point, could have won the game. They could have won the game, but we come away with a point. And, I think looking at Bristol City as a place we've struggled often, a point's not a bad result. Looking at the performances, I think there was, some decent performance. I thought Aaron Ramsey was particularly good. Had a really good influence on the game. I think Akpom had some great moments too. Force did well when he come on. You sort of get the good with the bad with Ryan Giles. He was a fantastic threat down the left, but of course was susceptible for the second goal. Tommy Smith, rightfully so, I thought did exceptionally well and had a solid game. Stefan, big saves yet again. It was just, the defending for the 2 goals was disappointing, and I think it was summed up in the post-match. It might have been by Matt Crooks himself, actually, who said we had to work really hard for our 2 goals, but we gifted Bristol City their 2 goals. So, a tough game. Stats-wise, their XG was actually really high, 3.18, so we may have got away with one there. We overhit our XG. They had more shots, equally as many big chances. We had more of the ball. Didn't really do enough with it, especially first half. We did come out second half and were much more like our old selves. But, like I said, it's a good result and kind of not a good result as well, because following the other results in the Championship this weekend, Luton Town won again. They beat Blackpool, which you'd expect, you'd expect them to beat Blackpool at home. Us dropping points means that the gap to third is now 3. and I think it firmly puts Luton in the driving seat in terms of third place. The only thing we've still got on them is goal difference, and we of course have to play them at their place, which honestly could come down. It could be that game for the fight for third. It really, really could. But elsewhere we got really lucky, because looking at the table, anywhere above Sunderland, and I think literally, I mean, I still think West Brom have an outside chance, but they've had a disappointing Easter weekend, haven't won in 4, so maybe I need to stop leaning on the game in hand they've got. But for me, I think it's Coventry upwards, possibly within a chance of the playoffs. I know Sunderland are only 4 points back, but no one outside the playoffs seems to want 6th place. It's really, really weird. It's like the battle for who doesn't want to finish 6th. And to be fair, everyone below us, barring Preston, didn't win, all the way down to Sunderland. So Millwall lost, Blackburn, they drew to Huddersfield. Norwich drew a really lacklustre 0-0. Coventry drew again. And even if you jump Sunderland and look at West Brom and Watford, they both drew as well. So we were lucky in the sense that no one really made up ground on us other than Preston, who out of the blue look like they could really have a chance at 6th place. Blackburn are only in there on goal difference. They do have a game in hand that could be crucial to them, but as it stands, neither Millwall or Blackburn are convincing me right now. I think Millwall have really hit a rough patch. They're struggling to score goals all of a sudden. Blackburn, I still think there's hints of good play, but I just don't think they've got the consistency, and we've seen it year in, year out. Form, momentum, heading into the playoffs is massive. There's always a side who comes in at the death and nicks it. Preston are looking like that side now, so there's a big chance Preston will be in the top 6 come the end of the season, and it wouldn't surprise me if both Blackburn and Millwall dropped out of the top 6 before the end of the season. It really is anyone's game, and I think, Norwich somehow, despite being bang average, find themselves 1 point out. So I think, us and Luton have got to look at this as, doesn't matter who we play, probably doesn't matter who finishes 3rd or 4th, whoever finishes 5th or 6th are probably not going to be the greatest. I think there's a gulfing class between Burnley and Sheffield United and the rest, but then I think there's also a gulfing class between us and Luton and the rest. So there's like a fight for, well, not really a fight because it's not a fight anymore, but Burnley and Sheffield United are in their own group. I think us and Luton are in our own group, and then the rest, it's anyone's game from 5th down to maybe even 10th, 11th. It's brilliant entertainment for the Championship, and I'm very glad that Boro aren't really in that mix. We're sort of clear of it, looking down and not worrying too much. But that can all change, because coming up on Friday is a big, big game. Boro host Norwich at the Riverside, 8 p.m. kickoff. We're going to play before the majority, or if all of the other teams in the Championship. So a real chance to put them under some pressure going into the weekend. But of course, Norwich are on the brink of the playoffs. And I think a win here for Boro, with what will then be 4 games to go, I think a win here guarantees playoffs. It doesn't mathematically, but this is a team who could really do with drawing the gap in. And if we win, the gap to Norwich goes up to 10. With 4 games to go, that's a huge, huge gap to a team just outside the playoffs. But if Boro lose here, the gap goes down to 4, and then the nerves kick in. So I think for me, it's a must not lose. If we can keep Norwich where they are at arm's length, 7 points difference, that's fine. Second, as I've mentioned, is gone. Third, I still want us to fight for and get, but it's looking tough with Luton's form. We need them to stumble, and I can't see it at the moment, and we need to overturn that. The key is our goal difference, I think. But for me, just in playoffs, looking at the playoffs to secure that playoff spot, not losing here, I think, is a big target, because Norwich don't gain any ground on us. But of course, a win, I think, all but solidifies our place in the playoffs, and then it is fully a head-on between us and Luton for 3rd place. But Norwich, a side with a fantastic squad, a side who have underachieved, I still think continue to underachieve with Wagner in charge. Some big injuries with Núñez, their 2 centre-backs out, Grant Hantley, and of course former Boro, I was going to say legend, maybe not. I don't know. Boro lad, he did get us promoted. Ben Gibson, he's out injured. And recent record, though, doesn't really bode well for Boro at the Riverside. Last 2 times Norwich have visited, they've won 1-0. Bearing in mind, that was when they were absolutely ripping the Championship up and were walking their way back to the Premier League. I think the roles are reversed slightly this time round. Boro, definitely the better side. And although our, head-to-head isn't great, our home form is. And barring the Burnley defeat, Boro's home form under Carrick has been amazing. And we've only lost once at home. Under the lights, I back Boro to get back on track. I'm still not convinced it's going to be a swashbuckling Boro win, but I feel like we will do enough to get the win. Norwich just aren't quite... They're struggling for goals at the moment. I think that's safe to say. They've not scored in any of the last 4, actually. Their last goal came against Huddersfield, which I guess back then was, not the greatest achievement. So they're struggling to score goals. Boro, still a very good goal-scoring side at home, and I feel like we're always going to get 1 or at least 2 at home, and Norwich are going to have to find goals from somewhere. So I'm going to strongly back Boro here with a 2-0 win, I would say, and I think a win here guarantees playoffs for Boro. So big night on Friday, one that could relieve so much pressure and really allow us to look forward to the rest of the season and attack the final 4 games with real menace. But do let me know what you think, guys, in the comment section below of Boro's recent form, the game against Norwich, your predictions as always. Do subscribe for much more. I do a Project Boro after every game to look back on the performance. Of course, hit the bell too so you never miss an upload. I do obviously do regular football themed content and sports themed content, gaming content too here on the channel. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time.